All right, let's get started. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another sunny day of chemistry with your host, me, Dr. White. I have a sad thing to tell you. This is our last week together. This summer just zoomed right by. I don't know where it went, but hopefully you've been having fun with chemistry this summer with me. I know I have been having a lot of fun with you. Now, game plan this week. Today I'll be doing reviews the whole week. We don't have any more labs, and I'll talk about that in a little while. And on Thursday, I'll be giving out the final. Now, let's talk about the final. Later today, I'll be going through test number 4, and after I'll be talking about that too. All right, thumbs up, people. Can you see the Chem 1211 final? Thank you. All right. On Friday, I sent out the following announcement. It was posted on Blackboard, and also you were receiving an email, same thing. And the final exam I'll be giving on this Thursday. At that time, I'll email you the password for the final exam PDF file. You'll have until Friday morning to upload it to Blackboard as a single PDF file. Now, let me talk about the final. The final has 17 pages, 46 problems. Relax, take a deep breath. I'll explain. There are 8 multiple choice, and some of the questions are multiple part. Now, the points breakdown, it will cover the whole semester. Test number 1 material will have 53 points. From test 2, 60, test 3, 49, test 4, 42. Why test 2 the most? Because moles are the most important thing I talked about in my mind this semester. Now, in the lecture folder of Blackboard, I have posted important information you will have in the last couple of pages of your final exam. Also in the assignment area, like I've done all semester, have a periodic table for you to download, and also the instructions how to upload it if you don't know by now, but I think you all do. And notice it's 210. There's 10, yes, 10 bonus points. Now, let me talk about this. I've given this final or similar ones many times here at COD. I can tell you this, if we were in a classroom, average student will take you about an hour and 20 minutes to finish it. But you'll have, normally in a classroom, you'd have 2 hours, but if you need a little extra, that's fine. And I can tell you based on this class, the average on the final will probably be around 180 points out of 210. That's the same as having a 90 average on the hourly exam. Think of the finals like 2 hourly exams slapped together. Not really, but think about it. I will tell you this, in the final exam from test number 2, there will be balanced chemical equations. There will be the mole-mole problems going from grams to grams with a balanced chemical equation. And test 3, I'll go through that during the week, stuff you should know how to do. Test 4, I will tell you this, I will have Le Chatelier's principal problems on there on the final. There'll be 6 points from new material, which is the stuff I talked about dealing with radioactivity and half-lives, and I'll go through that this week too. And that's the final exam. And the best way to study for my final is to use your hourly exams as practice problems. If you can do those all right, you're in good shape for the final. And I highly recommend you practice also this week, Monday through Thursday. Come to class or our Zoom meeting or watch the videos, because I can go through reviews and that will help you also, which is why my students do well on my final. Also, they do the practice and followed my advice all semester. Now, a couple of things. As of yesterday, 7 p.m., whatever you have uploaded for the laboratories, I have graded. And I've also put those scores in Blackboard last night. I'd urge each and every one of you to check. If you're missing a lab, I will do something that I normally never do during a normal semester if we were in the classroom and lab, because I'd be pestering you, you're missing a lab. And that is because of the difficulties our society is having now with the virus, I will allow by Wednesday morning, any lab that you haven't handed in, if you can't do upload on Blackboard because that link is gone, email me the lab. This is important, as a PDF file, and I'll grade it and I won't take any points off. Okay? And that's my special gift to you, because of this is the first time I've taught fully online. And for most instructors at COD, that's true too. So with that, I'm going to give you a big break, because each lab is 11 points. If you're missing 3 labs, you just lost 33 points, and that's going to hurt. Now, let's go into test number 4. And the first thing I can say is, thank you, thank you, thank you, and thank you. Class average was 90. You guys are rocking. And I really appreciate it. This is some tremendous group of people I have this semester online. And it's probably higher online, especially since COD forced me to cut down my normal summer lecture hours for students if you're in a classroom to what we're doing now. But good thing is I post my videos. You've made me a YouTube star. And also you can see from Chem 1105 a number of my videos. All right, what I'd like to do now is I'll be going through the test number 4 answers, and I will be removing this from the video. To help me find out where to cut it out, I'm going to do this. That tells me where to start cutting out. And let's do this. Let's look at it. Thumbs up, people. Can you see test number? Wrong test. Ha. Can you see test number 4 now? Thank you. Oh, one of the things you're not familiar with because you're not in the lab, when people do, if we normally were in the lab, the to-do list, going once, twice. All right, well, now's the time for me to tell you, if I were in your shoes, I'd have a question. First of all, what grade am I getting in this class? And second of all, how many points on the final do I need to get this grade? Well, let's go through and figure that out, and let me show you. Hold on, I forgot to. All right, once again, I will call on my thumbs up people. You see the whiteboard? Thank you. All right, there are two methods. First of all, let's do, first of all, current grade. Let's assume you take the three highest tests, and actually there's no other method, and you get the number X. If that number is 90 and above, you're getting an A in my class. If that number is 80, 89, you're getting a B, 70, 79, C. And I think all of you are in that. Now, this assumes you've handed in all your labs. And I looked at the lab percentage, and I think it's above 90% if you've handed in all your labs. Most people are doing great on labs. I don't grade that hard. Now, let's look at now the following calculation will assume you've handed in all your labs and you've done good. Because if you have, your labs will either keep your grade the same or raise it a little. But I've done this for many years, and let's look at, I don't think anybody is below this, so, all right, to get an A, now, to get an A, if you take 450 minus X, and X is the sum of your, oh, you know something, I got this wrong. Every semester I do the same mistake. All right, calculate Y. Y is the sum of your three highest test scores. I didn't have a chance to do it. Sometime this week, I'll put it up in Blackboard. And by the end of the semester, I'll have all your points in Blackboard filled out. If we look at, this is Y. To get an A, 350 minus Y gives you the number of points needed. To get a B, 400 minus Y. That's approximately the points. This is assuming you've handed in all your labs and you've done pretty good. If you've handed the labs, you've done good. And finally, 350 minus Y is the minimum amount to get a C. Let's do an example. Let's assume you've done real good on all the tests, and each test you got 100 points. Therefore, y equals 300 points. And 100 plus 100 plus 100. Oh, I got it right. Therefore, to get an A, you would need approximately 150 points. Now you're looking at that and saying, oh no, that's a lot of points. But whatever that points you need on the final, if you divide it by 2, that's essentially what you need to do on an hourly exam, which would be the same as getting a 75 on an hourly. Now, let me go through it again. This is assuming you've handed in all your labs and you've done well. If you hand in your labs this semester, I can say honestly, all of you have done well on there, which makes Dr. White happy. Thank you. But anyways, A, 450 minus Y. B, 400 minus Y. C, 350 minus Y, where Y is the sum of your 3 highest test scores. Now, let me give you a very important word of caution. In fact, so important, wake up. That's how important. So a lot of you are in a good shape. Like the person, if you had 3 100s, and some of you are there, and some of you are close to that, you say, oh, I only need 150 points, so 75 in the final, I don't have to study. Well, unfortunately, I've had students do that, and they don't study like they need every point, and they do real bad on the final because they didn't study well. It's still a final exam, and their grade goes whoop, way down. You don't want that to happen. I had one person actually go from an A to a C because they didn't study and they bombed the final. Study like you need every point. Now, a lot of you are in a very good shape. Thank you. That makes Dr. White feel good. Remember, I'm very selfish. When I see students succeed, that makes me feel good. And I love to feel good. But anyways, study, even though I just showed you, and you may not need a lot of points, study like you need every single point. All right, any questions on your grade? If you do, see me after class or come to my office hours. Now, special announcement. Oh, I get to use this twice today. Special announcement. All right, this week, I will be having my office hours on Monday and Wednesday. And if you need me, I'll stay a little later. Now, here's a special announcement. And that is tomorrow night, Tuesday at 6 to 7. If anybody needs me, I'm not going to hang out there. But if you want me to be there, send me an email, make an appointment. I'll have it set up. And you'll use the same password and everything and Zoom address for my normal office hour. If you need extra help, and I'm doing this because the final, I will make myself available then. But you got to email me or tell me after class that you need help and you'd like to come Tuesday. All right, any questions? Remember, in my class, and I've done it all semester, and I always do it, there's no such thing as a dumb question. All right, let's move on.
Sorry.
I hear a question.
Do we have class tomorrow since we're done with labs?
Oh, we're having class. That's a good question. All right, let me get back to my screen. Hold on. Yes, we will have class every day this week because what I'm going to be doing, I mentioned it briefly earlier, but I didn't do it clearly, obviously. Bad, Dr. White. But anyways, every day this week we'll have class and I'll be doing a review for each test. And I do this if we're in the classroom at COD. I always have done that since I started teaching, and that helps students do well in the final. Because if you show up, or in our case, you also watch the video, you'll have this week close to 4 hours of studying with Dr. White, besides what you do on your own. Actually, more than 4, come to think of it. Actually, Thursday, I might tell a couple of stories. I'll have time, but you'll have a good 4 hours. Oh, that's with me, plus the time you spend with yourself, and you'll go do well. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, sorry.
You have nothing to be sorry about. Asking questions is a good thing. I don't know why. I think honestly I do, because a lot of instructors get all upset and come down hard on students when they ask questions. No, that's a good thing. Aren't you glad I learned that in grad school, that there's no such thing as a dumb question, and you should never, ever, ever, one more time, ever say sorry for asking me any question. Now, certain questions I won't answer, like, what's my social security number? But anything I can answer, I will try and answer. All right, let's get to work. Once again, I'll call my thumbs up people. You see test one review? Thank you. All right, let's go through this. We started out the semester and I talked about the 4 branches of chemistry. The best one is organic and the others are inorganic, physical, and analytical. And remember on test 1, I asked you that question, name one of the branches. Organic is still the best, but I'm biased. Next, remember, and by now I think you all know, I asked you to learn, I think it was 39 chemical symbols from the periodic table. You should know their name and its symbol. And if on a test I ask, what's the name of the chemical symbol for carbon? You should know it's C. If I ask for argon, AR, and what's a good one? Platinum, PT, and so on. Or if I ask you, give the name of the chemical symbol or chemical or element with the chemical symbol Ag, you should know that's silver. I talked about the key prefixes in metric system, and you should know kilo 10 to the third, milli 10 to the minus third, centi 10 to the minus second. And in coming years, hopefully things get better with the virus. You'll hear more, and actually is going on, about nano, like nanotubes and nanoparticles are playing an important, more important role in our life, and that's 10 to the minus 9. Now, I talked about scientific notation, showed you how to use it in a calculator. All of you, I think, are up to speed on that. Next thing I talked about, significant figures. Significant figures tell you how accurate a measurement is. And if you have a number, you can determine the significant figures. And I asked you, and a lot of you are still having a problem with this, so we'll do some today. How many significant figures are in a number? I asked that, and then how to round off. Let's do a couple right now, because I think some of you need practice. And all of you, it doesn't hurt to practice. Why don't you try these? How many significant figures are in each of the following numbers?
It's not really showing in.
Oh no, hold on. Thank you for telling me.
Well,
All right, you see it now?
yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
You're welcome. Well, only one person has their video on today. The rest of you having a bad hair day or what? All right. Since I can't see your faces, give me a thumbs up if you're done. And you can do that in Zoom with the thumbs up button. Oh, I'm seeing some faces now and thumbs too. All right, let's do it. How many significant figures? All non-zero numbers are significant. Zeros at the end without a decimal are not. Zeros at the end with a decimal are significant. Zeros that are confined are significant. So if we look here, non-zero number 2, zeros at the end, no decimal, 2 significant figures. Here, non-zero, zeros at the end, but we have a decimal, so this would be 4 significant figures. Over here, we have 3 non-zero numbers, a confined 0, but this 0, there's no decimal, and therefore 1, 2, 3, 4, that would have 4. And that's something you should know how to do. Now, why don't you round off the following 2 numbers to 3 significant figures? Remember, keep your eyes on your own screen. I haven't used that all semester. I won't use it again. Yeah. All right. Anybody need any more time? Yell. Nope, don't hear anybody yelling. So let's do this. All right. 3 significant figures. Keep the 1, keep the 7, keep the 6. Use this to round off. It's 4 or higher. It's 5 or higher, I mean. You drop that, increase the 1 in front by 1, so that'd be 1.77. 1, 2, 3. Use the 1 to round off. That's 4 or less. Drop that, 2.65. Remember, this stays where it is. And with that, let's take a break. See you in 5 minutes while Dr. White goes and stretches. See you in 5. Sorry I'm late. The traffic in my hallway was horrendous. And I got stuck in traffic from my kitchen. If you believe that, I have a bridge in downtown Chicago I can sell you cheap too. All right, let's get started. Let me remind you, and I see a question. It's an old question. All right, let me remind you, I will have my office hour tonight, also Wednesday night, and don't forget, if you need to, email me and I'll make myself available Tuesday night at 6 to help you. And also, anytime this week, I'll stay after late if you need any help with any questions. All right, let's get back to what we were doing. We're talking about rounding off. All right, thumbs up, people. I know none of you have your video on, but do you all see the white screen? Give me a thumbs up with your...
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. That's one bad thing. Now, place where a lot of you are losing points and you shouldn't have to is when you do a calculation, you should have for multiplication division, the same number of significant figures as the number you're multiplying, dividing that has the fewest significant figures. I'll say that again. You should have the same number of significant figures in your answer when you're doing a multiplication or division as the number that has the fewest significant figures. And with that, whoa, something to spot. Everybody still with me? Hold on a second while I shut and see if... I see what fell off. A battery from my other table. Sorry about that. But when you hear a big bang, it's good to look and find out what that was. All right, let's get back to normal life. I'll ask my thumbs up, people. Do you see the white screen? Thank you. All right. Why don't you do these three, A, B, C, and D? What's the answer for the following? And hopefully now you see what I mean by my review. And practicing for the final, because this is all on test number 1. Not these exact problems, but similar ones. And about now, I'd be looking around the classroom and say, if you're done, look up and smile. Since you can't do that, if you're done, give me a thumbs up. All right. See a lot of thumbs up coming up. I'm glad they don't have a thumbs down. They should have in Zoom. All right, let's do this. We look at A. 16 divided by 4 is 4. But notice this has 4 significant figures. This has 3. So our answer should have 3, because when you multiply and divide, you get the same number of significant figures as the number with the lowest. Let's look at this one. This is, 4 significant figures, and this is 4 significant. 16 divided by 2 is 8, but to write it with 4 significant figures, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, let's look at C. 2 significant, 4. 2 times 2 is 4. How do we write that as 2 significant figures? 4.0. And the last one, 1 times 1, I think you all know is 1, but this is 3 significant figures. This is how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Which is smaller? Times up. And the answer here would be this. And that's how you do significant figures. Please watch this and watch out when you're doing the test, because on test 4 and 3 and 2, if you don't have proper significant figures, I take off a point, and that's a point you shouldn't really have to lose. Now, for addition, you have the same number of significant figures past the decimal as the number that has the fewest significant figures past the decimal. I'll say it again. When you do addition, you have the same number of significant figures past the decimal as the number that has the fewest. And here's a couple for you to try. And why don't you try these two? Oh, let's do one more. These are fun. And you can find out Dr. White knows his alphabet. There you go. And once again, since most of you have your video off, give me a thumbs up if you're done. Or give me a thumbs up if you're breathing. No, that was rude. Bad, Dr. White. Actually, in the classroom, I tell, for all of you who don't want to smile, smile. That doesn't work. Anyways, let's do this. Remember, when you're adding, you have the same number of significant figures past the decimal as the number that has the fewest. This is 2, this is 1, 2.0. If I were to add this up, however, you have the same number of significant figures past the decimal as the number that has the fewest past the decimal. This has 2, this has 1. Keep this, use that to round off. That's 4 or less, drop it. Let's look at the last one. 3 significant, 3, 1, 2, 3, 3. I don't have to round off. And that's how you do rounding off. Remember, use that when you're doing calculations on the final. Also on the final, don't forget to show your work. All right. I also once again asked you about chemical symbols. Then we went into chapter 3, talked about matter. What is matter? Before I do this, better check. Can everybody see the chapter 3 on the slides? Thank you, thumbs up person. There's only one with video right now. I guess you're all having a bad hair day. But anyways, matter is something that has mass and occupies space. Now, when we talk about matter, there are 3 states of matter. And if you remember on test 1, I asked you, name 2 of the 3. And those are solid, liquid, and gas. Solid, liquid, and gas. And where I have here no definitions, you should know that a solid has a definite shape, definite volume. A solid has definite shape and definite volume. A liquid has definite volume, indefinite shape. A liquid has definite volume, indefinite shape, and a gas has indefinite volume, indefinite shape. Let me repeat that again because it's important. And again, you should know that a solid has definite volume, definite shape. A liquid has definite volume but indefinite shape, and a gas has indefinite volume, indefinite shape. I hope you all realize you're inhaling gas now to keep you alive. Air. Next, I talked about physical and chemical properties. You should know examples. Example of physical property. What color is something? What temperature does it freeze or melt at? A chemical property is something flammable or non-flammable? And does it react with sodium? Does it react with the air? That's chemical properties. Then I asked about physical and chemical change. A physical change is when you have a change of state of matter. So physical change would be example, which I asked this on test 1. Ice cube melting, water going from solid to liquid. If you boil water, water going from liquid to gas. Or if you condense water, like on the mirror in the winter when it's cold, you take a hot shower or bath, you see that liquid on your mirror. Or if you take something cold out of the refrigerator and go outside, and all of a sudden you feel all the moisture on the outside of the, say, a bottle of pop or water, that's water going from gas, which we call water vapor, to a liquid on the outside of your bottle. Now, chemical change is when something changes its chemical structure or changes into new things. And being a pyromaniac at heart, when you burn a piece of paper or candle, you're seeing a chemical change. Or when you eat food in your stomach, there's a chemical change. Then I went through the different conversions. Hold on. And here we have, it doesn't want, all right. We have 3 formulas. I gave these to you. Going from Celsius to Fahrenheit, 1.8 times 10 times Celsius plus 32. Well, I had 10 to the whatever in my brain. And remember, 1.8 and 32 are exact numbers. Therefore, this number, degrees C, tells you how many significant figures your answer should have. Next one, going from Fahrenheit to Celsius, is degrees F minus 32 divided by 1.8. And those are both exact numbers. And remember, do the subtraction before you do the division. That's a common mistake students make. Don't. And finally, also 32 and 1.8 are exact numbers. Therefore, whatever significant figures degrees F, that's how many your answer degree C will have. Finally, Kelvin is degree C plus 273. Next, I started talking about the atom. Ooh, I started having some fun. Remember, I'm a chemist, an organic chemist. And I talked about the atom. I talked about the subatomic particles, or the particles that make up the atom of every element. And those are electron, proton, neutron. Electron has a negative charge, proton has a positive charge, neutron has no charge. And on test, I think it was 1 or 2, I think it was test 1, I asked you 2 points each, or 6 points total. Give the subatomic particles of an atom, and those are electron, proton, neutron. I talked about Thomson's cathode ray tube experiment. The key thing there, it showed that electrons have a negative charge. I talked about Rutherford's gold foil experiments. And the key thing there, and I believe on test 1, I asked you a question about that. And that is the nucleus of an atom is very dense. And you should know that the nucleus contains protons and neutrons. Again, Rutherford's gold foil experiments, which happened about 1905, not that long ago in the history of mankind. The nucleus is very dense of an atom, and the nucleus, which is the center of an atom, contains protons and neutrons. On that test, I think you asked you both, what did Rutherford's gold foil experiment tell us? And another question, what's in the nucleus of an atom? Protons, neutrons. I taught you in the periodic table the atomic number, and the atomic number is the number on top of the symbol in the periodic table. That tells you how many protons are in an element, because all elements, atoms have a net zero charge. Therefore, if you know the number of protons, you know the number of electrons. Again, this is important. Atomic number tells you how many protons in an atom of an element and how many electrons are in a proton in an atom. Talked about the periodic table. Let's get one up. Talked about the key groups, alkali metal, alkaline earth metal, halogens, and noble gases. I've been pretty good. I haven't said inert gases that much. Let's do this. Once again, I'll ask my thumbs up people. You see the periodic table? Nope. I'll be right back. Now do you see it? Thank you. This week, I'm going to be writing to Zooms and tell them how to improve their product. Will they listen to me? Who knows? All right, let's look at the periodic table. Other than hydrogen, lithium, sodium, potassium are all alkali metals. And if I ask on a test, give an example of an alkali metal, its name and symbol, well, those 3 you could do, the others, but I didn't ask you to learn, like cesium, which Dr. White's never worked with, but I have worked with lithium, sodium, and potassium. And those are alkali metals. Next, the alkaline earth metals in yellow. You'll see magnesium and calcium are the only 2. Magnesium and calcium are important. You know about calcium is good for strong bones. Magnesium, I haven't talked about this, but if you take my organic chemistry, which I'll be teaching this semester at Elgin Community College, Chem 170, if you need it, sign up. It's going to be totally online. I think I'm one of the few only people in the whole United States who's going to have totally lab and lecture online. And if you're a nursing student, find out if you need it. But magnesium is found in chlorophyll. And chlorophyll is the green stuff in plants that allow plants to convert sunlight and do photosynthesis, which I don't teach in that class. Now, if we come over here, fluorine, chlorine, bromine, and iodine are the halogens. And if I ask, give an example of a halogen, you can put down and this chemical symbol, fluorine, chlorine, bromine, or iodine. And when you hear about halogen lights, they contain one of these in there. Now, the last one are the noble gases. And the noble gases are all the way to the right of the periodic table in blue on your screen. And helium, neon, argon, krypton. By the way, in our universe, krypton is not a green solid that kills Superman. It's a colorless gas, which Dr. White's never worked with, because I'm Superman. I don't want to die. No, I'm not. But I have worked with argon and helium and neon, really mostly argon, and you use that as an inert atmosphere to run certain organic reactions under. I did a lot of that in organic in grad school. That was a long time ago. And you should know, what is a metal? A metal is something that has property of luster, meaning you can shine it up so it's nice and shiny. As thermal conductivity, it conducts heat, which is why if you look at your pots and pans, I think all of you have metal ones, not wood or other things that are non-metal. They used to have glass, but they break too easy. I never owned one. You don't see that at all anymore. It's very rare even when they were selling it. A metal has electrical conductivity, meaning it can conduct electricity, like in the wires in your cell phone and also your cords in your house. And finally, it has malleability, which means you can thin it out, which is how you can make things like aluminum foil you use in your kitchen. All right, that's everything from test number 1. Any questions from the material on test number 1? My memory serves me correctly. I think I had around 53 points from that test. You know how to do that stuff. Let's move on. Give me a second while I open up something, because I wasn't sure how far I'd get. Once again, I'll ask my thumbs up person and all the rest of you using the Zoom. Can you see test 2 review? Thank you. Thumbs up person. Thank you. All right. Talked about where are the electrons. And the electrons are in the electron cloud, which is all around the nucleus. And the electrons are in shells. And the shells are where electrons have approximately the same energy and are approximately the same distance from the nucleus. Each shell has a name, and real fancy names, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and so on. And shell number 1 has 1 subshell. Shell number 2 has 2 subshells. Shell number 3, 3, 4, 4. And the subshells have names S, P, D, and F. And this goes from lowest to highest. S is lowest, P, then D, then F. Same thing with the shells. Shell 1 is the lowest, 4 is the highest energy. Going down, you increase energy. And when we look at the subshells, and this is given to you in the final exam, important information, both this chart right here not this stuff, but this chart here, subshell S, you can put 2 electrons, P, 6, D, 12, F, 14. Remember, my secret to you and gift is for my test and the final, you only have to go up to magnesium atomic number 12, how to do what's called electron configuration. And that's where you put the electrons in the subshells. Remember, subshell is named by both a number and a letter. And on test 2, most you got wrong. Give the first 2 subshells in shell 4, and that is 4s and 4p. And you always fill the lowest energy levels in subshells first. So let's do a little practice. Have to open up a periodic table. Took me a while, for some reason, to want to go for my periodic. Can everybody see the whiteboard? Thank you. Let's do some practice. All right, let's do this. I'm going to help you out. We go to our periodic table. All right, carbon has how many electrons? Look at the periodic table and let me make it larger. You'll see carbon has 6 electrons. Remember, we're talking about electrons. Oxygen has 8 and sodium 11. So if we go back, and I'll call my thumbs up. Everybody see the whiteboard again? Thank you. All right, let me do carbon. It has 6 electrons, oxygen 8, sodium 11. And if we look at this, we have 1 S, and that has S, 2 electrons, P, 6. And the shells are 1, 2, 3. And subshells 1, 2, 3. So I have 1s is the first one. I can put in 2 electrons. I only have 1 subshell. I filled it up. I go to subshell 2. And the first one is 2s. I can put in 2 electrons. 4, I have 2 more. 2s can only take 2 electrons. And therefore I go to 2p. And this now goes to 2 electrons. And being the nice person I am, I'm going to let you try the others. And why don't you try B, and C. And when you're done, give me a thumbs up, either by your video or your Zoom thumbs up. All right, I think everybody's done. Let's do it. For oxygen, first of all, you need to look on the periodic table. You have 8 total electrons. And then first of all, 1s, put in 2 electrons. I filled it up. I now have to go to 2. The first subshell is S, 2s. I have 2 electrons. Oh, I still have 4 more. S, I can only put in 2 electrons. So now I have to go to 2p. 2 plus 2 is 4. I have 4 more. Notice I could have put up to 6. I don't. Let's look at sodium. First one, 1s, I can put in 2 electrons. Next one, 2s, I can put in 2 electrons. Remember, shell 2 has 2 subshells. First one is S, second one is P. Therefore, I go to 2P. Well, 4 minus 11 is 7, but I can only put in 6 here. I've got 10. I have 1 more to go, but shell 2 only has 2 subshells, 2s and 2p. I filled it up, and therefore I have to go to the next shell, which is 3. The first subshell is 3s. I have 1 electron, and I'm done. And if I look at the clock, I really am done. Did I time that good or what? All right, remember, study for the final. You're not going to learn it the night before. Hopefully, use your hourly exams as practice. Tomorrow, I'll continue going through test 2, and if we finish, we'll go into test 3. Make sure you get all your labs in by Wednesday morning at the latest. If you're missing some from the beginning, look at Blackboard and email them to me if you no longer have the assignment link open on Blackboard. And with that, I'm done. And hopefully you'll have a great day, and I get to do this again. Bye. Be healthy, gay and gesund. I'll see you tomorrow morning.